Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Are you hard enough to survive? Do you have what it takes? Because the way the things are going, the way this world is going, and very specifically how America is going, I don't know that being weak is necessarily a good thing right now. We need toughness, we need hardness, we need endurance, we need strength, but that may come in different ways. And just because you may look at yourself in the mirror and say, man, I'm nowhere near as tough as so-and-so or someone else or something else, it doesn't mean that you're not hard enough to make it through what's happening. And I want to get into that in just a minute. A couple of things. Number one, I've been getting a lot of people asking about the little intro on the video and the music that's playing. And people are asking, what music is that? Well, to be honest with you, I don't know, at least not anymore. I came across that on a website that has a bunch of free music that you can, royalty-free music that you can use. And that's where I got that. I've gone back to that website and I cannot find it. I have looked. I spent actually a couple of hours a few days ago searching for that song to try to find out the name of the person or the band or whatever that played it, and I cannot find it. So I do apologize that I don't remember. I don't remember. It's been a while. It's been many months ago, and I don't know. So for those of you asking, that's the best I can give you on that. Also, we've got a meeting coming up here in a week, and I know I'm getting a lot of emails. I'm kind of getting to that backed up place again. My wife is helping me, so if you've emailed me and you haven't been responded to, just have a little patience. Hopefully in the next couple of days, I'll get you the response and all the information that you're needing. So we're working on that. I was thinking about this topic today. We live in a very soft world, a very soft environment. America has experienced prosperity, has experienced good times for a very long time. In fact, much longer than just about any other civilization in human history, where we have experienced such luxury and such convenience and such times of peace, especially here in our nation. And what it has done, it has created a very, what I would like to say, delicate and fragile populace. There are certainly people that think that they're tough, and there are certainly people that are tough. But the vast majority of this country is filled with people that just aren't. They're not tough, they're not strong, and I don't think that that's me necessarily judging anyone or making a very biased statement. I think it's just the truth. It's what it is. And so because of that, because we have generations, at least 2 or 3 potentially, that the vast majority of them don't really have a good concept of what that is. We all now have people popping up all over trying to make you think that this is what it means to be tough. And we have tough times ahead of us. I don't think that anyone right now could say that, and in fact, all the polling shows this too, that the vast majority of the American people believe that things are going to get worse, believe that tough times are ahead, tougher than what we've experienced already, whether it's financial problems, supply chain problems, energy problems, political problems, moral problems. It's all getting worse. Most of us, it's not that surprising. Most of us are well aware of how these things go, and we've also, a lot of us, we've kind of read the end of the book, and we know how things are going to play out. We know that things are going to get worse. And so what I'm telling you is that among all the things that you need to do to get yourselves prepared for the world that you now live in, because that has changed. We no longer live in the same United States as you did 5 years ago. The world has changed. And now we've gone through political changes, we're going through economic changes, but what you're going to experience more so than ever, and this is probably going to be the thing that's going to impact the psyche of not just you, but everyone else, is that your lifestyle is changing. How you're used to living is changing radically, and it will continue to change. And we are we are faced with a problem that a lot of people just aren't prepared for. And so we're trying to prepare for this. We're trying to do the things physically, spiritually, and mentally to get ready. And I'm here to tell you that while all the physical things are very important, while it's important to physically train, it's important to have supplies, it's important to be ready in a physical sense. And of course, spiritually is extremely important. But one of the things that a lot of people, I think, are going to be lacking is that mental important toughness. We have to be mentally strong. We have to be mentally tough. We have to be hardened, ready to face what is coming at us. And to me, it doesn't matter how physically frail you are. What matters is that your mind is tough. There are people still around of the greatest generation that may be physically failing in a lot of ways, but they have the mental fortitude to endure things that in my generation and younger generations we could not imagine to deal with. And so don't give up just because maybe you're weaker physically than others around you. And for everyone, no matter how physically tough you think you are, you need to get mentally tough. You need to prepare for the tough times ahead. And I do believe that they are coming. I do believe that what we are seeing play out in front of us in all areas is a controlled collapse of our system. I believe this has been planned out for a very long time. You can even go back 100+ years ago and read writings of people in America talking about how to bring America down and how to bring about a Marxist revolution. And if you go back to their playbooks of what they say needed to happen, that has been happening for the last 2 or 3 decades here in the United States. And so I do believe that we are watching kind of a controlled demolition of our society. And so more and more, it's gonna keep getting worse. We also know that it's gonna get worse because, well, the end of the book kind of tells us, the Bible tells us how things are gonna get. And I do believe that we are at that time, that convergence of times, where it's, as in the days of Noah, we're watching those birthing pains play out right before our eyes. And so we have to continually preparing ourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. In Luke 21:36, Yeshua tells us that we need to pray for strength to endure, to avoid all of these times, as he's talking about all the things that are going to be happening in the end times and how bad it's going to get. And that's what we need to be doing now. We need to pray and need to work on the strength, physical strength certainly, and the mental strength and the spiritual strength, because that is what's playing out. And the thing is, and this is where the kind of perversion of the times that we live in. We live in a time, and I've said this for the last few years, and I'm going to specifically talk about men for an example, but you could probably use this same analogy with women. That we live in this time that only 2 types of men seem to be acceptable. This frail, feminized, weak kind of man, which is the popular kind. And then the other type that's still kind of acceptable is this very brutish, kind of knuckle-dragging, just absolutely rude, cruel, coarse type of man that has no intelligence, has no sympathy, has no heart. It's just all rough. And we're told that if you're not the more feminized, frail, weak man, then you must be the other, and that there's no in between. And I'm telling you that that's not necessarily true either. I can think back of many great men in history that were considered warriors, that were considered tough men, but they were also compassionate men. They were also intelligent men. They were had a poetic sense to them, which is much the reason why I enjoy this other YouTube channel, Warrior Poet Society. If you are not familiar with that channel, he does a lot on tactical training. That's what he is. He's a instructor in tactical training, but the guy does a whole lot of just the intellectual and the spiritual side of being a warrior poet. In talking about this and thinking about this morning, I was thinking about a couple of books that I've had in the past, and they were the writings and memoirs, the personal letters of Robert E. Lee and Thomas Jonathan Jackson, or otherwise known as Stonewall Jackson. And regardless of what you think of the Civil War in the North and the South and these men, because in today's modern world these have been demonized as evil men, they were military geniuses. In fact, Stonewall Jackson's tactics are still being taught today in military schools. These men were brilliant. They were intellectually brilliant. They were militarily tacticians. They were brilliant in that area. And without going into the details of the war and all that kind of stuff, the fact is that both of these men were warriors. They were fearless. The stories of both of them in battle, much like stories of George Washington and others before them, they were true warriors in battle. But when you sit down and you read their personal writings and their letters to their wives and to their family members, these men were also poets. They also had a compassion and an understanding in them that most people today cannot fathom. So they were a really good embodiment of that warrior poet, that they were filled with strength and courage. They were hard men, but they also had a softness to them. They had a poetic side to them. They had a compassionate side to them. This is the kind of people that we need. This is the kind of people that need to rise up, that need to strengthen themselves. You may look in the mirror and you may say, I'm not necessarily a warrior. You know, I don't look like these grunts you see on TV, and I don't, maybe I don't have the training that some of these people have. Maybe I've not gone off into battle like some of these people have. That doesn't mean that you're not tough. Going back to the American Revolution and to the Civil War, in both of those wars, there were plenty of men and women that fought that had no training whatsoever. The vast majority of the people that fought in those wars were farmers. They were tradesmen. They were shopkeepers. And they had virtually no military training whatsoever. They were not combat trained, but they had life skills. They understood what it took to survive in life. And that's the type of skills that are really going to be needed in the world that we are facing today. Things are rapidly changing. You know, we look throughout history, and we don't even have to look at the Bible. I mean, certainly that's a good place to look, but we look throughout history and we see the various times where civilizations have collapsed, empires have collapsed, where economies have collapsed, great depressions have happened, wars, great natural disasters that cause cataclysmic damages. And the people that made it through those times, they either were tough or they had to become tough real fast, because that's what it takes to survive those times. In America, we've had too many years of soft and gentleness. We've had too many years that everything is at our fingertips and that everything is convenient and easy, and that you don't have to be tough. You don't have to have calloused hands to survive. You only have to, just be able to be tolerant with each other and be able to be malleable and to be controlled and to be told what to do. And if you do those things in the America that exists today, then you could survive. But those times are coming to an end. I'm not saying that we are going to go through the Armageddon, that we're going to go through the apocalypse, but I am saying that as things are progressing, we will most certainly go through periods of very tough times ahead. And it's going to be determined, the ones that survive those times, especially with their freedoms, are the ones that are tough enough to survive, that have a hardness to them, that are capable of turning that on, that are capable of being that dangerous man when the time arises. Mark Twain once said, it's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog. And regardless of where you are in life, certainly you need to be as physically fit as you can. And if you're not, everyone, that should be part of your prepping routine. That's become a part of mine. And I struggle with it. I'll admit I struggle with it. But it is something that I have increased in importance in my routine. We need to continue to develop the skills, develop knowledge of how to do things that we may not have ever had to do before because we live in such a luxurious society. We need to acquire the goods to push us through those times. While the goods don't make the man, they certainly make those times better. They make it easier to get through. And so we need to have as much as we can, as much as we can afford, but know not to necessarily depend on those goods, those preps, those supplies. That's not what's going to cause you to survive. What's up here and what's down here is what's going to cause you to survive. And so regardless of how frail you might think you are, regardless of how the lack of professional tactical training that you are, regardless of whether you drag your knuckles or you have, great education, everyone has the capability of being a hardened survivalist. And that's really what it's going to take to get through all of this. And I know I may be speaking in terms that sound very extreme for a lot of you, but I think that is in fact the case. Because if, like I said, if you look throughout history at the times of various civilizations and various points in history where times started to crumble and collapse for various reasons, things got pretty tough for people. And most of the people that are hearing my voice right now have never truly experienced that. There are a few, and I get comments and I get emails from those. I've gotten emails from people that grew up in Cuba, that grew up in Venezuela, people that grew up in communist Russia. And they tell me the stories of what they had to endure before they got here. And so there are people that get that, but the vast majority of us have never truly experienced that. Even those of us that may have the professional training have not really experienced what a true disaster, a true collapse, a true apocalyptic kind of world that we might be facing ahead of us. We are experiencing, we are seeing a controlled demolition of our society. And the reason is because they want it to fall a certain way. They have a plan. They have a very globalist plan that they need all of this to collapse in such a way so that their plan plays out. And we may or may not be able to alter that plan, but what we can do is that we can alter ourselves, we can alter our mindset, we can alter our mental fortitude and our spiritual awareness and our spiritual strength to endure what we are facing, because that's what we're called to do. We're told in the Bible that we are to endure, that we're not promised that times are going to be great and that we're going to be completely shielded from all the things that we're going to face. We're told that it's going to get rough. We're told of how bad things are going to be, but that we need to be prayed up and have the strength to get through it all. And so that's what I'm telling you today, folks. Don't get discouraged thinking that you may not have all the training and all the physical strength. While those things are important, work on your mental toughness. Harden yourself mentally. Get yourselves prepared to live through this controlled demolition of the society that we live in. All right, folks. Thank you all for watching. Catch you in the next video.